So Gary Veter is alive, and he's a neighbor. Love the guy. He's got a little son over there, about the same size. And by the way, his son is quite portly. This is
Oh, really?
Have you seen a photo of the kid?
Not a new one. No, I just saw him right when he had the placenta all over him.
Oh, he's a jumbo baby. This kid's like he's playing offensive tackle for the Veters, I guess. But he's a fat shit. But he's a nice-looking baby and good-looking guy, sexy Veter. So the other day, I always text him, and you never want to bother a guy because he's busy and the baby's sleeping and his wife and whatever. Yeah. And so I don't want to every day go, hey, are you around? But I'm always walking by his house every day.
Sure.
So I'll text a lot and say, I'm walking by. If you're around, no sweat. And I just tell him, open invite. I'm always around the neighborhood walking around. So we've seen each other a few times. The other day I was walking, and I bump into him, and now I didn't recognize him at first because he shaved his head, and he's all ripped, plus the masks. So you don't know who's who. So he's got the mask on and some groceries, and I went, Gary? It was kind of like Gary Fogel.
Yeah.
I go, Gary, and he's like, hey, and he's in a daze. Like, he's like completely out of his mind because he's up all night, raising the baby, wiping the ass, eating the pussy, the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, big fan.
So he goes, let me drop these groceries off. My house is right here, and then I'll go walking. And I'm like, all right, of course you have to do the thing of like, drop them off, come back down. Don't give me I'm standing out here for 45 minutes. You know how people do. You know those people that are like, I'm going to run upstairs.
Yes. Then they make a sandwich, they take a shit, they take a shower. Yeah, come on.
Exactly. They put on their heels. So we go over there, and it's a thunderstorm coming. So I'm like, we got to make this quick. He goes upstairs. He lives in a fancy building. He was doing very well pre-COVID.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, they had a business. They used to own a business. But so he goes upstairs, and I'm just standing. This is a nice building, doorman, brand new building.
Wow.
I'm sitting there, and these two, when you just see a cunty couple, you can tell they're cunty. Their vehicle, they have like a huge, what's it called? Like a Yukon? Like those huge vehicles.
Sure.
I think that's
big gas
thing, right?
guzzler.
Like an Explorer, like just like a big thing, nice, new, shiny. You can tell they're loaded,
Yep,
and they're bringing out all these, Yeti coolers and fancy suitcases. They got a baby of their own, the stroller, and they're just kind of fancy pants types.
Gotcha. A little well-to-do.
Yeah, I don't like a fancy pants type.
I know you don't. It strikes a chord with your poor upbringing.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the fancy pants. So they're doing all fancy pants, and I'm just standing there, and they're kind of giving me the crook eye because I'm standing there. It's COVID. I don't live there. They're like, who's this guy just hanging out? Right. And I don't want to be like, I'm waiting for my friend. I just kind of, you guys do your thing. I didn't like their vibe.
I hear you. I smell you.
So then we're standing there. They're packing their car. All of a sudden, a car pulls up. Two guys, sexy guys, in shirt, no tie, nice slacks, handgun on the belt.
Ooh.
And some handcuffs. I've said this before. A suit with a handgun is just a sexy look.
That's a good, I'm moist, I'm wet. It's like an undercover cop, but you're kind of above it. You're like a cop with some dignity and sophistication. You're not just like the fat guy with the donut.
Yes, an inspector.
Yes, gadget.
Or a, what's the other one? Not inspector, but...
detective.
Detective, yeah. So somewhere in between there. So, I mean, I think different, what do you call it? Police precincts call it different things.
Sure.
In this town, you're an inspector. In that town, you're a detective. Same shit, whatever. So they pull up. They jump out. They go up to the door. And I'm a little turned on, but a little mystified because it's two dudes with handguns on their belt. And one's Asian, sexy Asian, and the other one's like kind of mookish.
Okay, we got an Asian and a mook.
A little like, oh, what do you fucking do? So they come up, and they try to open the door, but they can't get in. The guy's like trying to hit call. They're a little frantic. And he's like, you live here? The Asian didn't do any talking. He was a ninja. He was silent, and he went... The other guy's like, hey, you live here? And I was like, no, I'm just waiting for my buddy. He's like, who live here? Anyone live here? And I was like, well, my buddy's about to come down. He's about to come downstairs like any second. He'll let you in. And the other couple's just standing there, and they got their arms folded. They're just kind of watching what's this about, giving it a little stink eye again. They gave me the stink eye. Now they're giving him the stink eye.
Why don't they go up to their fucking house? What are these weirdos doing?
Well, they're unpacking for a big trip, it feels like.
Aha.
But I don't know why they don't go back in. They're skeptical. So
Okay.
then I see Vitor. I go, here's my buddy. So I thought this would be funny. Gary's coming out. He sees two like federal agents waiting, and as soon as he opens the door, I go, "Get him!" Which I thought was really funny. But Vitor, it turns out, he's on edge. He hasn't slept. He has a baby. You know, there's guns, BLM, everything's happening. So he doesn't know what's going on.
Maybe a little ganja happening as well.
Exactly. So he's a little nervous, and I was like, "Oh," so I felt bad right away because I could tell he was like, "Ooh."
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "You live here?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Is there a concierge, a doorman, or something?" And Vitor's like, "Well, there's a door guy, but he's not here right now." And he's like, "Well, is the super here? Does he live on site?" And Gary's like, "No, he doesn't." He's like, "But I have his number if you need his number." And so he's helping out. Now, all of a sudden, this chap's my asshole. The Explorer douche. Remember those guys?
Yes, yeah, Rockefeller.
He yells from 20 feet away, "You got a warrant?" Now, doesn't this bother you?
Yeah, he's seen a movie or two, huh?
He's watching too many films. He's a fucking douche. Do you have a warrant? You're like, he's not searching your apartment. It's two fucking cops that are just asking for the surveillance camera.
Right.
This isn't a fucking issue. It's not a fucking police abuse. They're not coming into your home and checking your underwear drawer, you fucking douche.
Yep.
They just they don't even want that. Don't even worry about it. He just wants to talk to the fucking guy. You don't need a warrant to talk to a guy.
I know, and we could be solving a rape or a murder here. Like, stay out of it, Dickless.
Well, so here's the thing. So then the mook guy, his mask is all falling off. You can tell he's like, we got to wear these goddamn masks, like a bunch of queers. And so he's got one of those masks that's like hanging over here, like you can see his lips and his nose. I'm sure he's a penis, but he's like, I need a warrant. Do I need a warrant? And the guy that said it, like all these types, just folds. Ooh. And he goes, you want me to catch the guy that slashed the woman the other night?
Ooh.
Some woman was slashed in front of Sunswick Bar on 35th Avenue here in Astoria. Slashed, Mark.
Slashed like Guns N' Roses.
Slashed up. Not even stabbed, but slashed.
Wow, that's even scarier.
So they're trying to get this guy, and they're like, these two detective people are just trying to catch a guy who's running around slashing women with a knife and taking their shit.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, maybe shot in the dark, slash in the dark. Maybe he's on film on this fucking street. Let's go see if we can get the cameras of this building. And this fucking douche, do you have a warrant?
Yeah.
And he's like, he goes, well, do you want me to catch this guy? And the kid goes, well, you didn't say that. And it's like,
we gotta tell you everything.
Fuck off. I hated this guy.
I hate him.
And so, Vita gave the number, and we just, we walked to Starbucks, and poor Gary was like, did I do the wrong thing? He's like, is that guy mad? Should I have done this? Because he just walked into the situation. I yelled, get him.
Yeah.
He's got two dicks with cops, Dick like Detective Dick, and maybe Dicks also.
Private Dick.
And then this other guy, so now he's got some people in his house mad at him for giving the number of the super to the detectives who are trying to catch a guy who's slicing women open with a knife.
He's slash and gash. But here's the clinker. I mean, this guy's going to go back up to his giant penthouse apartment with his Yeti cooler and his Birkenstocks, and he's going to go, fucking cops down there think they can do whatever they want. They're all pricks. You're like, what about you?
Well, he also thinks, I stood up to him. Like, I just hate the mindset. I hate the attitude of, like, I know what to do here. These cops. And, I'm not saying the cops aren't fucking abusive and doing horrible things in certain situations. No question about that. I'm not talking about the greater police thing. But this idea of, like, hey, you got a warrant? Just you're in the way.
Yeah.
You're in the way. I don't need a warrant to have a conversation with the fucking door guy at a building.
Yes. About trying to solve a serious crime here, fatty. Get out of the way.
I'm like, let's get this guy. I live in this neighborhood. I walk around. My wife walks around. She's a woman. I would rather not die. If him looking at your fucking dumb surveillance camera in your stupid building is gonna help me not get sliced open with a knife, how about you give him the fucking video?
I know. Well, he read one article on defunding the police, and he wanted to make a stand, and He stinks. And those video cameras are so clutch because when I got robbed, they kept being like, "Don't worry, this is the West Village. We'll find him on the tapes." And they walked around the whole building. They're like, I don't think I've ever come across a building in the village that had no cameras. If we had a camera, we could catch this guy tonight. And I was like, damn, that sucks. So thank God for these cameras.
Wow. Well, I appreciate it. It's one of those tricky matters with everyone's watching us and Big Brother and yada yada. But sometimes you're like, I hope someone was watching that incident.